Hello everyone. Welcome back to my B&B Today spoiler channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. The bold and the beautiful B&B spoilers for Thursday, August 20th, reveal that Steffy Forrester Finnegan's, Jacqueline McInnes Wood, attempt to come clean won't go according to plan. Carter Walton, Lawrence St. Victor, will also move forward with a cover-up that could come back to bite him, so let's talk about all the drama. At the Cliff House, Steffy just admitted she has something to tell John Finnegan, Tanner Novlan. Since Finn keeps playing up how his wife is honest, pure and someone to honor, the guilt is really hitting Steffy hard. Steffy doesn't think she deserves for Finn to view her that way since she just sizzled with Carter at Forrester Creations. Now Steffy seems ready to confess what happened, but something will inevitably get in the way. Finn might stop whatever Steffy tries to blurt out and argue that it doesn't matter. Then again, Steffy might face another interruption instead. It's even possible Steffy will simply chicken out and decide she can't go through with spilling her awful secret. Steffy won't want to break Finn's heart and make things worse, so she'll presumably clam up in the end. Over with Carter, B&B spoilers say he'll make a risky move of his own when he agrees to patch things up with Daphne Rose Walton, Muriel Hilaire. Carter may be tempted to confess as well, but he won't want to blow up his marriage now that Daphne is telling him everything he's been wanting to hear. Daphne has decided she's ready to discuss family options and doesn't want a life without Carter in it. Carter will choose peace and happiness over honesty, so he'll kick off a cover-up that could trip him up down the road. Next, R.J. Forrester, Brian Nicoletti, will have a proposal for Zend Forrester Dominguez, Delon DeMetz, to mull over. Zend will be surprised when R.J. makes a pitch that presumably involves Electra Forrester, Linnea Grace, and the new youth line. Zend may think that sounds like a great idea since Forrester Creations needs to find the next big thing and fill the void now that hope for the future is gone. The bold and the beautiful spoilers say RJ will spread the news about his suggestion and hope to get Zend's support, so stay tuned. Los Angeles never sleeps, and neither does the drama swirling around the Forrester mansion this week. If Thursday's episode plays out anything like the rumor mill suggests, fans are in for a gut punch of an hour. One confession that never makes it past someone's lips, and one decision from Carter Walton that could blow up half of Forrester Creations before lunch. Buckle up, because this is shaping up to be one of the messiest, most emotionally loaded episodes of the summer. A confession interrupted. What was Steffy really about to say? 4 weeks now, eagle-eyed viewers have noticed something simmering just beneath the surface with Steffy Forrester. She's been distracted in board meetings, short with hope, and suspiciously quiet every time Finn's name comes up in casual conversation. All the pieces have been pointing toward a reveal, something Steffy has been sitting on that she can't hold in much longer. According to the buzz swirling around Thursday's episode, Steffy finally works up the nerve to say it out loud. The setting, the Forrester Creations rooftop terrace, golden hour lighting, and, of course, absolutely the worst possible moment for anyone to walk in. Steffy corners a family member, some say it's Ridge, others insist it's actually Liam, and starts to unload whatever she's been carrying. And then, right as she gets to the good part, the sentence that could reshape everything, she's cut off. Speculation is already running wild about what, exactly, derails her. A few of the most popular theories floating around fan forums. Theory 1. Kelly or Hayes bursts in. Nothing stops a Forrester confession faster than a kid needing something urgent, and showrunners love using children as narrative circuit breakers. If one of Steffy's kids comes tearing onto that terrace mid-sentence, the moment is gone, and Steffy may lose her nerve to try again anytime soon. Theory 2. A phone call changes everything. Soaps love the perfectly timed phone call trope, and if Steffy's confession gets interrupted by an urgent call, maybe from Finn, maybe from a hospital, maybe from Jack Finnegan himself, it could send her spiraling in a completely different direction before she ever gets to finish her sentence. Theory 3. Someone she didn't expect walks in first. This is the juiciest possibility fans are chewing on. What if the person Steffy is confessing to isn't the person she thinks is standing behind her? A classic soap misdirection. Steffy believes she's alone with Liam, say, only to realize mid-confession that it's actually Hope, or Taylor, who's been listening the whole time. Whatever the mechanism, the emotional fallout of an interrupted confession is often more devastating than the confession itself would have been. Half-truths and second-hand information have destroyed more relationships on this show than actual full disclosures ever have, and there's no reason to think Thursday breaks that pattern. If Steffy doesn't get to control the narrative of her own confession, someone else absolutely will, and that's when things usually go sideways fast. There's also the question of timing. Steffy has spent months trying to project stability, for her kids, for Forrester Creations, for her own sense of self after everything the Finn/Sheila saga put her through. A half-finished confession leaves her more exposed than silence ever did. If whatever she was about to admit gets twisted, misheard, or repeated out of context by whoever interrupted her, Steffy could spend the next several weeks doing damage control for a truth she never even got to fully speak. And that's before you factor in Taylor. If Dr. Taylor Hayes catches even a fragment of what Steffy was trying to say, expect her to go into full protective mother mode, potentially confronting the wrong person, or worse, deciding she needs to help by getting involved in ways Steffy never asked for. Taylor's instincts to shield her daughter have caused just as much chaos as they've prevented over the years, and a half-heard confession is exactly the kind of ambiguous information that sends her into overdrive. Meanwhile, across town, Carter Walton rolls the dice. While Steffy's moment gets swallowed up by whatever chaos awaits her on that terrace, Carter Walton is reportedly making a move of his own, and it's one that has long-time viewers bracing for impact. Carter has never been a man who plays it safe when his heart, or his conscience, is on the line, and Thursday's episode allegedly finds him doing something bold involving Daphne, a decision insiders are already calling risky in the most loaded sense of the word. For a character who spent so much of his arc trying to be the reasonable, steady presence at Forrester Creations, this kind of gamble is a real departure, and it's exactly the sort of thing that tends to blow up spectacularly on this show. Here's what fans are speculating about the Daphne situation. A professional gamble that becomes personal. Carter has always worn multiple hats: legal counsel, confidant, occasional moral compass for people who probably don't deserve one. If his risky move involves using his position at Forrester to help Daphne in a way that isn't strictly by the book, it could put his career, his credibility, and his standing with Ridge and Steffy all on the line at once. Carter has flirted with ethical gray areas before, usually when someone he cares about is in trouble, and it rarely ends without consequences. A declaration nobody saw coming. Alternatively, and this is the theory generating the most chatter, Carter's move isn't professional at all. It's personal. Given his history of jumping into relationships fast and hard, ask Quinn, ask Paris, ask practically anyone Carter has ever loved, a sudden, unguarded move toward Daphne would fit his pattern perfectly. The risk here isn't legal exposure. It's emotional. Carter putting his heart on the line again, so soon after his last entanglement blew up in his face, would be classic Carter, leading with feeling before thinking through the fallout. A secret he decides to keep for her. There's also chatter that Carter's risky move is less about action and more about silence, that Daphne shares something with him in confidence, and Carter, against his better judgment, decides to protect that secret rather than disclose it to the people who probably need to know. If Carter is sitting on information that could affect Forrester Creations or the people he works with every day, it's only a matter of time before that secret becomes a liability he can't control. Whichever direction the show takes, one thing seems consistent across every theory. Carter is stepping outside his comfort zone, and the show rarely lets a character do that without making them pay for it eventually. If this is a professional risk, expect Ridge or Ridge's inner circle to eventually catch wind of it, forcing Carter into a corner where he has to choose between protecting Daphne and protecting his own position at the company he's worked so hard to build a life around. If it's a personal risk, expect the emotional entanglement to ripple outward, dragging in exes, current partners, or family members who have opinions about Carter's love life whether he wants them or not. Why this combination hits so hard? What makes Thursday's alleged episode so compelling isn't just that two big things are happening. It's that they're happening in such different emotional registers. Steffi's storyline is about truth denied, a confession that gets swallowed before it can do any good or harm. Carter's storyline is about truth risked, a decision made in the open, consequences be damned, at least for now. Soap fans have seen this kind of tonal contrast play out before, and it almost always sets up a midpoint collision. If Steffi's stalled confession and Carter's risky Daphne move are happening in the same episode, there's a good chance the show is quietly building toward a moment where these two storylines intersect. Maybe not this week, maybe not even this month, but eventually. This is a show that loves connecting its dots in ways viewers don't see coming until the pieces click into place 3 weeks later. Consider the possibilities. What if the person who interrupts Steffi's confession is somehow connected to whatever Carter is doing with Daphne? What if Daphne herself ends up being the very person Steffy was trying to talk to, or about? Forrester Creations has always been a small world dressed up as a big company, and there are only so many degrees of separation between any two characters walking its halls. A crossover here wouldn't just be plausible, it would be textbook Bold and the Beautiful. The ripple effect. Who gets caught in the blast radius? If even half of this speculation holds up, Thursday's episode could set off a chain reaction that touches nearly every major relationship currently in play. Liam and Hope. If Steffy's confession involves anything related to her feelings, her family, or her future, Liam is almost certainly going to end up hearing about it eventually. Whether from Steffy herself, secondhand, or through the Forrester rumor mill that never seems to stay quiet for long. And wherever Liam's attention goes, Hope's anxiety usually follows closely behind. A stalled confession has a funny way of becoming a fully formed crisis by the time it finally gets spoken out loud, and Hope has spent enough years bracing for Steffy-shaped surprises to know one might be coming. Ridge. As both a father and the man ultimately steering Forrester Creations, Ridge sits at the intersection of both storylines. If Steffy's confession touches anything about the family, he'll want in immediately. And if Carter's risky move ends up crossing any professional lines, Ridge is exactly the kind of boss who notices, eventually, dramatically, and usually at the worst possible moment for whoever's on the receiving end. Quinn and anyone from Carter's past. Carter's romantic history is basically a minefield of loyal viewers with strong opinions, and any sign that he's moving toward something new, especially something impulsive, tends to reopen old wounds. Expect longtime shippers and skeptics alike to be watching his every scene with Daphne like hawks, parsing every glance for confirmation of where this is really headed. Taylor and Brooke. Whenever a Forrester-Logan secret is even partially exposed, it's only a matter of time before Taylor and Brooke end up on opposite sides of it. If Steffy's aborted confession involves anything touching the decades-long Brooke-Ridge-Taylor triangle, and on this show, what doesn't, eventually? Expect this to reignite tension between two women who've been circling each other since practically the beginning of time. Reading between the lines, what the titles and teasers suggest. Soap opera spoiler culture has always been part detective work, part group therapy session for people who refuse to let their favorite characters catch a break. The phrase, confession derailed, does a lot of heavy lifting here. It implies not just an interruption, but a kind of narrative unfinished business. Derailed things eventually get put back on track, which means whatever Steffy didn't get to say on Thursday is almost certainly coming back around, probably at a moment even less convenient than this one. Similarly, Risky Move is doing a lot of work in Carter's headline. The show doesn't usually label something risky, unless it wants viewers bracing for the moment the risk stops paying off. Carter has had his share of Forrester-adjacent scandals over the years, and if this new gamble with Daphne echoes any of his past patterns, longtime fans have every reason to feel their stomachs drop a little in anticipation. What fans are saying. Online speculation forums are, predictably, in overdrive. Some fans are convinced Steffy's confession was headed toward Liam and involves buried feelings she's never fully processed. Others insist it has nothing to do with romance at all, and everything to do with her health, her business decisions, or a secret involving Finn that she's been protecting the family from. The uncertainty itself has become part of the fun. Every possible ending gets its own passionate defenders, and every theory feels just plausible enough to keep viewers refreshing spoiler pages for updates. Carter and Daphne, meanwhile, have become their own subplot within the fan discourse. Some viewers are rooting hard for a genuine romantic connection, arguing Carter deserves a storyline that isn't defined entirely by chaos. Others are far more skeptical, pointing to his track record and predicting this risky move is setting up his next heartbreak rather than his next happy ending. Given how the show has handled Carter's love life in the past, it's honestly hard to blame the skeptics. The bigger picture. Where this could be heading. Zoom out far enough, and Thursday's episode looks less like a standalone hour and more like a hinge point for several storylines the show has been quietly building for weeks. Steffy's unfinished confession creates a ticking clock, the kind of narrative device that guarantees at least one more emotionally charged scene down the line whenever she finally gets the chance, or is forced, to finish what she started. Carter's risky move with Daphne, meanwhile, plants a seed that could blossom into anything from a full-blown romance to a professional scandal that shakes up the Forrester Creations org chart. If the show follows its usual playbook, expect the fallout from both storylines to unfold gradually rather than all at once. Soap operas rarely resolve their biggest moments in a single episode. Instead, they let the tension simmer, dropping just enough hints each week to keep viewers hooked without giving away the full picture too soon. Thursday's episode, if the rumors hold up, is shaping up to be exactly that kind of slow burn setup. Not the explosion itself, but the moment right before the fuse gets lit. Final thoughts. Whether Steffi's confession gets interrupted by a child, a phone call, or an unexpected face at the door, and whether Carter's move with Daphne turns out to be a professional gamble or a matter of the heart, one thing feels certain: neither storyline is going away quietly. This is a show built on unfinished conversations and decisions made in the heat of the moment, and Thursday's episode sounds like it's delivering both in spades. Keep your eyes on that rooftop terrace, and keep an even closer eye on Carter Walton, because if history has taught Bold and the Beautiful fans anything, it's that the biggest risks on this show almost never stay contained for long. Disclaimer: this article is speculative fan content written for entertainment purposes. It is not affiliated with, endorsed by, or sourced from CBS or the official Bold and the Beautiful production team, and should not be taken as confirmed spoiler information.